Let's talk about how you administrate Redis. They do also have a primary, secondary kind of configuration sort of thing. Their primary terms now that they prefer are leader and follower. So you have a leader server, which is the one that you write to, the primary. And they also have a follower server, which is kind of the secondary, is one that are being replicated to from the leader. You'll also see master and follower. That's not the terms that I choose to use, but you will find master and slave in some of their older documentation. But yeah, they have since moved on to leader and follower. The leader will accept all of the writes. The followers are expected to be exact replicas of the leader. The followers are also sometimes called replicas. If the leader and the followers lose track of each other, the followers are smart enough actually to just request the delta, so the actual changes between when they last saw the leader and now, right? They'll actually just request that delta, and they're smart enough to kind of go through and selectively apply those updates. If it gets too out of sync, or if it just can't, deal with it anymore, it'll just wipe itself and totally copy a brand new copy of the leader. So suffice to say, it's actually pretty sophisticated with its replication strategy. You can kind of mess with the consistency, right? The C part of ACID to say like, acknowledge my write as soon as the follower sees it, or you can also go as far as saying, don't acknowledge my write until all of the followers have written it to disk. That's a very slow way to do it, but it's possible to do it that way. There's also a wait command. We didn't talk about that one too much, or at all. But there's actually one that's called wait. And you can say, I need this to be written to at least one replica before I feel comfortable. Right? So imagine, I don't know, again, you're doing like banking stuff. You might feel comfortable as like, I need for this to be at least written to one replica. So that's what wait will do. It's for, highly important stuff. Let's talk about Redis cluster for a second. Redis cluster is sharding, but for Redis. It'll take your keys and shard them out amongst different pockets of replicated leaders and followers. This is how you're going to start handling like, terabytes, at least gigabytes of key value stuff. It will make your Redis deployment less consistent, which is usually a trade-off that you have to be willing to make. So it has a higher chance of dropping writes on accident, which is not good. But the trade-off that you're making here is that Redis can scale to be much, much larger. So you need to think about that. That feature is called cluster, Redis cluster. And there's another cool feature called Redis Sentinel. So Redis Sentinel does what's called self-healing. We haven't talked a lot about self-healing, but it's a really hot topic in operations. What that means is like, let's say you have one follower and 4 leaders. Sorry, other way around. You have 1 leader and 4 followers, and Redis suddenly detects that one of your followers is dropping writes. Its latency is spiking. It's running out of disk space. What you can do with Redis Sentinel is like, it can see that before it actually starts becoming a problem. So it's actually like a sentinel, right? Like it's watching all of the vitals of all these different servers. Before it becomes a problem, it can rotate that server out of rotation, put in a brand new follower, and then you can kind of continue on as if nothing had ever happened. It can do this kind of self-healing, and so your operations persons or you don't have to get paged. It actually just gets fixed before it even becomes a problem. That's called Sentinel. It's self-healing Redis. It also has like a bunch of like charts and graphs and metrics that let you know how much they're being written to, how much they're being read out of, like what queries are very hot, which ones never get run, bunch of stuff like that. So Redis Sentinel, if you're going to be running a lot of Redis, is very helpful. So a big key with this is with Sentinel, you want these servers to live independent of each other. So usually that's going to be like cross-region. And what's cool about that is if you have some of your servers in US West, some of them in the US East, some of them in, I don't know where else regions are, Europe, you can have them in various different other places. The Sentinel can actually see those across regions, and if it can see that US West is going down, it can move all of your servers automatically to US East and really compensate for that particular problem. So yeah, it means you can survive regional downtime, which is a big deal.